What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny 2. Now in our video today, we're taking a look at every single playlist weapons. 6 brand new weapons were added with Season of the Chosen, so today we're going to take a look at each and every one of them and all the best roles. So if you want to find out the ones you should be chasing, be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a rating down below. That super helps me out here on the channel. And just under 80% of you that watch these videos aren't currently subscribed, so if you do want to keep up to date with all the latest Destiny 2 content, be sure to hit subscribe as well. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now with the launch of Season of the Chosen, we had 21 weapons from Season of Dawn sunset at the beginning of this season. However, with that all being said, 6 new amazing weapons were added to our playlists. There are 2 for each playlist, so in this video we're going to look at the best roles and the weapons that you should be seeking out this season. Now as we just said, these are playlist weapons. There are still optimal ways of obtaining them. Now first up with the Crucible playlist, the by far most efficient way of farming out these weapons is in fact waiting for Mayhem to be in rotation. Matches inside Mayhem last no more than 4 to 5 minutes, making it a very fast and easy way to try and get your hands on the exclusive weapons from this playlist. Now as for Gambit matches aren't as long as they used to be, especially with Gambit Prime now no longer a thing. However, to ensure Gambit matches are as quick and as efficient as they possibly can be, I highly recommend running a full fire team, and with a well coordinated team you can burn through Gambit matches with very little challenge at all. And the faster you can run through the matches, the more opportunities you have of getting your hands on the weapons exclusive to the Gambit playlist. And the third and final one is the Vanguard playlist. This needs to be a strike playlist specifically, and much like Gambit, getting a full fire team together is by far the most efficient way, and making sure you're running the relevant subclass and abilities to make the most of the modifiers that are available on any given day. Now as well as utilizing these strategies in each and every playlist, you can also equip mods to your Ghost to further improve the chances of legendary gear dropping at the end of an activity. Now this mod specifically is called Prosperity. Now there is one for Vanguard, Gambit and Crucible, and this allows playlist activity completions to have a chance to drop an additional piece of legendary gear. So to give yourself the best chance of getting that new legendary loot, be sure to have this equipped on your Ghost whenever running playlist activities. So those are where and how to improve your chances of getting these weapons, but what are the weapons themselves and what sort of roles should we be looking for? Now we're going to kick off with the Crucible playlist. As I said, there are 2 weapons exclusive to the Crucible playlist. Now the first one we're going to take a look at is called the Keening. This is a legendary energy sidearm. Now this one is of Arc Element, and it's an adaptive frame, so it's well rounded, reliable and sturdy. Now as with all these weapons, this was introduced this season and has a power cap of 1610, so we will sunset in season 17, so you have plenty of chance to get the most out of this weapon. Now what you will find with all these playlist weapons is they have a massive perk pool available to them. In fact, both trait trees on each weapon have 12 for each slot, and whilst a lot of these perks are very good, it does make getting the god roll a little bit more challenging. Now in terms of optimal rolls, naturally high caliber rounds or ricochet rounds are probably the preferred options in terms of magazine, as both provide boosts to range, and ricochet rounds also provides an additional +10 to your stability. Now in terms of PvE options, you have things like Grave Robber, Surplus, Subsistence and also Threat Detector. These are all really solid PvE perks. For example, you could pair Threat Detector with Surrounded in the final column, and those 2 perks synergize perfectly together. And if you add a Surrounded spec mod onto this weapon too, you have a very potent PvE weapon. Now as for PvP, you have a few options. Killing Wind is a possible trait on this weapon, alongside Slide Shot, which boosts your range and stability. Rapid Hit is also here, but Hip Fire Grip is also another viable option. This will improve your accuracy, stability and precision hit targeting when you're firing from the hip, and it's got a huge buff merely a few seasons ago and could be a very potent option on this weapon. And in the final column we have a few choices once again. You have things like Vorpal Weapon and Thresh if you want to generate small amounts of super energy, but Snapshot Sights is also here if you want a faster time to aim down sights. All in all, statistically a very solid weapon. It has a recoil stat of 99, so it's very stable, and an aim assist of 83, making it a very sticky sidearm indeed. So if you want a competitor to the Drang, be sure to check out the Keening, available in the Crucible playlist. Now next up we have the Frozen Orbit, once again available in the Crucible playlist. This is a legendary energy sniper rifle. Now this one is of Void Element, and it's an aggressive frame, so deals high damage and high recoil. Now the closest thing that I can compare this to is the Trophy Hunter back from the Season of Dawn. That was also aggressive frame, also void, and these can roll the same stats too, making it a potential monster inside PvE. Now if you're looking for that role, you'll need something like Appended Mag or Extended Mag in the magazine options, and the first legendary trait you'll want to have is Triple Tap, where rapidly landing landing precision hits will return 1 round to the magazine. And if you pair this with Vorpal Weapon, that will increase your damage against bosses, vehicles and guardians with their super active. You have a very powerful DPS sniper indeed. Now a few other perks that are good for PvE are things like Ambitious Assassin, Clown Cartridge and even Surplus, as this improves the handling, reload speed and stability for every fully charged ability. Now in terms of PvP, the most optimal role that you should be looking for is with Accurized Rounds to provide a +10 stat to your range. It can roll with Moving Target, which will improve your movement speed and target acquisition when you're moving and aiming down sights, and it can also roll with Opening Shot, which further improves your accuracy and range on the opening shot of attack. Now those two perks combined with a targeting adjuster mod makes this a very sticky sniper indeed. Snapshot and Quick Draw do roll on this weapon, however they are both in the final column of this weapon, meaning that you can't roll both of them on this weapon. Now next up we're going to jump over to the Vanguard playlist. Now the first weapon we're going to take a look at here is the Third Axiom. Now this is a legendary energy pulse rifle. This one is an adaptive frame too, so it's well rounded, reliable and sturdy, and fires at 390 rounds per minute. Now once again, the optimal magazine options here are high caliber rounds and ricochet rounds, and if you're looking for a good role in PvE, you have a few options available to you. Feeding Frenzy is here as a very powerful legendary trait where each rapid kill with the weapon will progressively increase the reload speed for a short time. Now that pairs perfectly with a few traits in the final column, things like Dragonfly and also Rampage. Now both of those traits have their own dedicated mods too, further increasing the radius of either the elemental damage explosions on Dragonfly or the duration of Rampage, and those two things together make it a very strong PvE option. Now in terms of PvP, Feeding Frenzy isn't a bad trait there either. It can roll with things like Zen Moment, which will improve the weapon's stability as you cause damage, but it can also roll with Rangefinder, where aiming with the weapon will increase its effective range. Now this weapon has one of the best range stats in the archetype for the 390 RPM pulse rifles, so if you pair that with Rangefinder and maybe even Opening Shot, which can roll in the final column, you'll have a very long range and consistent pulse rifle in your hands. Now the other weapon in this playlist is called the Royal Entry. This is a legendary power rocket launcher. This one's precision frame, so the weapon fires a small auto tracking missile and missiles lock onto targets when aimed. Now in terms of the magazine option, Impact Casing is the perk of choice. Not only does this increase damage on direct hits, it also provides a +10 to your stability. Now there are less perks on the rocket launcher than the weapons we've covered up until now. That being said, there are still some fantastic options available to you and some amazing new perks too. Now one of those is called Impulse Amplifier, and this massively increases projectile velocity and increases reload speed. Now that is a very strong option. It's up there with other good options like autoloading holster, but also field prep, which will increase your ammo reserves. Now in the final column you are almost sport for choice. You have things like Chain Reaction, which is a very popular perk at the moment, and this is where each final blow with a weapon will create a elemental damage explosion. Now also rolling in the final column you have things like Ambitious Assassin, which will overflow your magazine based on the number of rapid kills made before reloading. But a final one, and a brand new one this season, is called Lasting Impressions, and this is where rockets attach on impact and detonate after a delay, and it increases the blast radius and damage. Now if you compare that with something like Impulse Amplifier and Impact Casing, you have a very strong rocket launcher indeed. So that wraps up all the Vanguard playlist weapons. Next up we're moving on to the Gambit weapons, the final weapons in the playlist activities. Now the penultimate weapon in the video today is the Trinary System. This is a legendary energy fusion rifle of solar element. Now this fires at 660 in terms of charge time and is an adaptive frame, so it's well rounded, reliable and sturdy. Now once again we have many perks available to us. Now in terms of PvE, you have things like Grave Robber and Swashbuckler, which will synergize together very well. Grave Robber will reload a portion of the weapon's magazine upon a melee kill, and Swashbuckler will have increased damage for melee kills, which can stack up to 5 times. Now in terms of the best crucible role, Liquid Coils is a very strong battery option. This provides +10 to impact and reduces charge time by -10. And a popular role for me inside Crucible with any fusion rifle is Under Pressure, which improves your stability and accuracy as your magazine gets lower, and pairing that with high impact reserves. And this is where rounds at the end of the magazine will deal more damage. Now the final weapon in our video today is called the Bottom Dollar. This is a legendary energy hand cannon. This one is of an aggressive frame, so it's high damage and high recoil, and is optimized for long distance shooting. It's 120 RPM and it's a void element. Now, much like a lot of the weapons we've covered up until now, we are spoilt for choice when it comes to perk combinations. Be sure to sound off with your suggestions in the comments down below. Now, in terms of PvE, Surplus is a great option which increases your handling, reload and stability for every fully charged ability, and you compare that in the final column with something like Wellspring, where kills with the weapon will generate ability energy, and this energy is divided between your uncharged abilities. Now, those have great synergy together and will help you retain that fast handling, reload and stability on the weapon. Other great options are Rapid Hit, Explosive Rounds, or even Outlaw and Rampage. As you can see, all three of those options are very strong PvE choices. Now, in terms of Crucible, once again we have some great choices available. Rangefinder is here once again, and you compare that with Rampage 2, which is also in the final column. But if you want to absolutely maximize your range for the Crucible, then Accurized Rounds, Rangefinder and Opening Shot are all available on this weapon. It might be a difficult role to get, but it'll be a very strong one inside the Crucible. So there we have it, guys, a look at every single playlist weapon introduced with Season of the Chosen and their PvE and PvP roles. As I said before in the video, if you have any role recommendations for any of those weapons, be sure to sound off down in the comments below. Now, if you have enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a rating down below as well. And if you're new here or you want to keep up to date with all the latest Destiny 2 content, be sure to hit subscribe as well. I'm going to jump back into the game as always, guys, but I will catch you all again very soon.